Hello and welcome to this tutorial on getting a Unity 3D produced application or game onto an Android device for testing purposes. Okay, so before I get into this, let me first illustrate one thing. If you're just going to use this for testing purposes and you want to test in real time in the simulator, you don't really need to install it on a device. It's kind of the final testing phase whenever you actually get it onto a device. If you're using it just to kind of test the functionality of your application, you really want to get this Unity Remote 5, and they offer this in the Google Store. It's free, obviously, and you get this downloaded and installed, and you can use touch controls or a virtual controller to control your device or use your device to control your game or application while it's playing inside of Unity. Okay, so if that's what you're trying to do, then this is what you need to get. Now, let's say that you've downloaded this, you have it installed, you've tested your application, everything's running great, and you want to move on to the final testing phase to see how it's going to show up on the screen in real time, because when you install this, it's going to be blurry on your device. It always is. It's just the nature of the beast. And it's not going to actually be the way it will appear whenever it's an actual application, it's an actual build. Alright, so with that being said, whenever you finally do a build and put it onto your device, that is how you'll actually see it. That's how it'll actually appear. Alright, so let's go through this. Now, I have, I believe, most everything installed already, but I am going to go and show you exactly where you need to go and what settings you need to set up on these applications. And there's more than one, and it's going to take up a bit of hard drive space. So let's go through. First of all, we're going to go to File, Build Settings. Okay, so inside of your build settings is where you're actually setting which device or which type of platform you're building for. Now we're going to do this for Android, and you can see if you're on Unity 5.4, I don't think it actually says this in 5.2, there's actually an Android module that you have to download and install. So I'm going to open that download page, and it'll immediately go to the correct download, 73.1 megabytes in size. And I'm going to pause the video while this is downloading. Okay, so this has finished up, and I'm going to go ahead and click this download. Yes, that sounds good. Yes, this all looks great. And do not think that this is the end of your downloading experience with this. It is not. Alright, so although the experience for installing this to Android, significantly less space will be taken up by your Android applications that you need. So now that that's done, I'll go ahead and click this button that says Switch Platform, and this will re-import my project. Now right now my project doesn't have anything, so it doesn't need to be anything re-imported, but if you already have a project that you've been working on and you switch it from a standalone to any other platform, it might take a minute for actually to re-import all of your assets. Alright, so this is now in Android mode. I can click Player Settings, and we can see all of the different settings over here to the right. it'll say, for example, your company name, the product name, so this will be your game, your icon, so whenever it actually shows up on the screen on the home page or in the applications folder or applications area, I guess, I don't know what you call it on an Android device, the place where you go and it shows all of your applications. Default cursor, this is if you have a mouse type, an application that uses a mouse or some sort of cursor, you can use your own custom cursor. Cursor hotspot, that's just the hotspot for the cursor. I don't even really know what that means. Alright, so we'll go into these other settings. Most of these you can just kind of leave it on its own. You can override whatever the icon is for different devices. Splash image is if you want a splash screen that shows up. Other settings, I've never messed with any of these. I'm sure I'll probably need to at some point, but I have had to change this API compatibility level once or twice for different packages I've used, but most of the time I just leave all of this stuff alone and just assume that these people know what they're doing. The only thing I really ever changed was the company name, product name, and the default icon. The presentation resolution things, you can set that as well. You definitely should always set your game aspect to actually be the correct aspect of whichever device you're testing on. We'll go ahead and set this up to 3.2. I'm not sure if that's what mine is or not, but let's just assume that it is. Alright, we'll go 16.10. Alright, so let me look at my... that doesn't look right. Let's say 16.9 probably. Is that even a choice? Apparently not. We'll go 3.2, and that's not right either. That's definitely not right. Well, we're just going to leave it at this. It's the closest one. Alright. So, with that being done, we need to go into project settings. I think this is the place. No, wait, preferences. There we go, preferences. So you go to edit preferences. And let's see, we go to external tools. Our script editor, this is mine set up to be using well, it's not set up to use MonoDevelop, it's using something different. I can't remember the name of it right now. And we can go through here and check out all the different stuff. None of it we actually use. But let's see, you definitely, if you haven't already, you want to set your external tools. Actually, alright, so with those settings set up with your icon and all of that, and make sure that you have installed that, well, whenever you go to build settings and you click open download page and you download this module, make sure you have that installed. And then I'm going to close Unity and reopen Unity. Same project. And now my build settings have changed. You can see here I have Google Android product, development build, all these other settings. And now when I click player settings, the same thing comes up. But there are some other settings that we need to go and change, the bundle identifier, stuff like this. You also need to set your minimum API level. Good idea for this is to take whatever Android device that you currently have and, you know, roll it back a few, maybe down here or something. It really doesn't matter. You can set it for 2.3.1 if you want. I usually roll mine back to the first jelly bean and leave it there. And let's see, device filter, if you only want to have this to work on certain devices, or to not have it work on some. And let's see, the thing I'm looking for, and apparently I'm having difficulty finding inside of this version, is there's a setting that you need to go and actually point Unity in the right direction as far as finding the API that you have installed. And you do have to install the Android API to your computer. Let's see, is it in publishing settings? Well, let me find out where it is in this version. Alright, so it was where I thought it was, but whenever I tried it earlier, I actually had to shut Unity off and then start it again before it would appear. Alright, so you go to Edit, Preferences, and External Tools, which I don't know why they did this, but whatever. Alright, so you have the 3 different selections here, okay? You definitely need the first 2. I'm almost positive you need to have the first 2. The last one, I don't think you need. I've never actually needed any of them. It says here that this requires that you have Android SDK R10E installed. If you're not targeting IL2CPP, you can leave this field empty. And really, that doesn't really matter. It's just a it's code generation for C++. You're not going to use it, so don't worry about it. I'll just put it that way. Alright, so we just need the SDK and the JDK. So we'll click the download button, and we're going to download Android Studio. We'll agree with all of this, selling our souls, and you'll download it to your desktop. Now I already have it downloaded, and just install it with the default settings. We also need to download the JDK. Now this one is a little bit more, not straightforward. So the one that we want to download is the newest JDK, and also you need to make sure that you have the newest Java installed. So I'm going to go ahead and download JDK, and it's going to come up with this. And all these different settings, the only thing you need to do is click Accept License Agreement and choose which of these OSs you're currently going to be working with. If you have a Mac, you want to use this one. If you're using Windows, you want to use one of these 2, depending on your architecture. Most computers nowadays are 64-bit, so just select this, and you'll download this and install that as well. Now, take note of where you install these 2 things, in the program files or wherever you install them, because this is going to be asking for it. You'll click Browse, and you'll locate those files. Now, I thought that I installed both of these, but let's find out. Maybe I didn't. Alright, wait one. Alright, so apparently I forgot to reinstall this stuff, so I guess we will walk through all of it together, all of the growing pains. But I will pause the video while this is all downloading, so you don't have to sit through that. So I will download the Windows x64 version. I'll just download that to my desktop, it doesn't really matter, and I will download and install the Android Studio. Yes, you can have my house when I die. and all of that goodness. Nougat. These guys must have a major sweet tooth. Come on. Yes. Yes, I agree. Now download. Alright, so I have these two downloading. One is 1.6 gigs, one is 195 megs. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video now, and when these will finish, I will resume creation of this video. That will probably be in an hour or so. Alright, the download's finished. It's obviously a lot later than it was when I ended the last one, but it doesn't matter. Alright, so I want to go ahead and install the JDK first. And standards, I don't need anything else other than the default settings or selections. Destination folder sounds good. While that's installing, I'll go ahead and open the other one. Alright, development kit is complete. Alright, Android Studio, which I've never actually even opened, but we do need the SDK. Don't really think I need the virtual device, but let's check my space. Yeah, we're good. Alright, so this might take a second or two. I'm not going to make you sit and watch my bar fill up, so I'll go ahead and pause the video. Alright, the bar has filled. It took quite some time, so if it's stalled out whenever you're running it, don't panic. It does take some time. I can only imagine how long it would take on a standard hard drive. This one is pretty quick solid state drive, so it may take a little bit of time, so don't flip out if it takes a minute to actually completely get to completed. Alright, start Android Studio. No, we don't need to do that. Let's go back to Unity. Alright, so now inside of our settings, let's go ahead and set a default icon, and let's go ahead and bring something in. Let's go ahead and bring something in. Alright, so let's see. Let's go ahead and bring something in for our icon. Let's go ahead and bring something in for our icon. We would just need a standard texture to use. So I'll go ahead and go into my pictures and let's use this definitely scary picture. Let's go ahead and bring that into the project. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, you should use a square icon to get it to actually show up the correct way. Alright, let me go back into my settings there. And we'll load this icon in. And our product name, our default company, let's call this, and we'll call the name of the product Whole Lot of Nothing. Alright, we'll leave all the other settings the same, but now we need to go into our preferences again and set these external tools up to point to the right location. So we'll go to Browse and we'll look inside of Android. And which one are we doing first? The SDK. And I think gotta find the right one it's asking for. Is it bin? JRE, library, just not sure. Wow, it doesn't give you an icon? Awesome. Alright, let's go take a look at where this stuff is inside of bin. Well, I selected bin. Let's try it again. Maybe it's in, no. Alright, I'm gonna pause this for a moment. Alright, so to find the SDK, this must have been in Android, the SDK, we'll select that folder, comes up. The JDK, I'll click Browse. And let's see. I don't think it's going to be the same place. Android Studio. Well, I installed it with the default. So if I look here on the installation, Java, okay, I'm looking in Android. Alright, so let's go and look for Java. It's not here, it's going to probably be in the x86. And it is not. Wow. Did I just look past it? Or did I forget the alphabet? Either one is as likely as the other. Maybe it went into program data. Nope. I just looked at it 3 seconds ago. Let's just try again here. Browse. Java. Okay. Which one? I guess the JDK, since that's what it's asking for. And that's it. So we have our Android paths set up here. So let's try and build this super awesome game. Let's save the scene. take this scene now and let's do a build. Let's change our build settings. Okay, that's fine. We're doing a development build. We don't need to open this in Android. I'll go ahead and check it anyway, why not? We're gonna have to export this. So I'll choose my desktop, make a new folder, builds. And we'll select that folder. Bundle identifier is not set up correctly, so I need to have to change this from your company name, which makes sense. So let's go over here and set that up. So inside the player settings, under other settings, I'll have to give this a different setting. So let's say my company was CSD, my product name was Whole Lotta Nothing. Not sure if these spaces are going to make a difference, so let's go ahead and take those out just in case. And my version, yeah, that's good. Alright, now let's try again. Yeah. Here. Try again. And I'm not going to pause the video, I'll just let it sit here. Now if you have a lot of stuff in your project, obviously it's going to take a little bit longer. Alright, so we can see here in the builds folder that I have a folder called Whole Lotta Nothing, and this is essentially a Google project that you can open up inside of the Android Studio, I'm assuming. But if we don't want to set this up, we just want to actually do a build and have an APK for testing, this is what we'll do. We'll do the same thing, we'll go to the same folder, and it's going to save this as an APK. I'll save this out. Alright, and we see we have a builds APK. So this builds APK can then be copied directly to your Android device, which I'll do now. I'll connect this to my PC. Make sure that you have it set up to be connected as a media device. If you have it just to be charging, it's not going to work very well. Like, at all. So I can take this and copy it directly to my phone. Copy, and go into my phone, into the phone storage, and I'll just use the standard directory here, and I'll paste this in. Alright, I have my APK file on my phone. Alright, so let's take a look at what happens after I've copied this onto the phone. Alright, here you can see I have the standard, just my home screen. Nothing has changed. What you need is a file manager to be able to do this. Now the one that I use is simply called File Manager. I do apologize for the clarity that this is lacking. This is a depth camera that I'm using for facial tracking with the phase shift in Maya, but it does reverse the wording that it sees, and it's not that clear. But the name of the application is just File Manager. It's fairly easy to use. So I'll go into File Manager and it tells me, okay, well, do you want to go to your SD card or your phone storage? I saved it onto the phone storage, so that's where I want to go. And you'll see the file that I copied over called builds APK. So I'll go ahead and select that. And it's asking me, okay, do you want to allow access, full network access to this? And I'll select install. And you can see at the top, backwards, that it is asking me to install, or it is installing. It's telling me that it is installing. Okay, it says app has been installed. So I'll go ahead and click done, or touch done. Alright, so back on my home screen, I'm going to go into my applications. I'll go and you'll see here that the application has been installed. Whole lot of nothing. I'll go ahead and drag this off onto my home screen so you can see the icon there is the one that I selected. And let's go ahead and run the application. Takes a moment to load the assets, although there are none. The standard Unity splash screen appears, and then we see exactly what we would see in the application in a run state, just the skybox essentially. To exit, you exit it the same way you do any other Android application. And that concludes this video on how to get how to export an application built in Unity 3D over to your Android device for testing. This does not cover how to publish the application to the Google Play Store, and it does not cover some of the more advanced settings you need to set depending on your device and depending on exactly what kind of application you're trying to produce. But it does cover the basics so that you can get to just a simple application with simple controls and simple input over to your Android device. Again, the program used to install it once it's on the device is called File Manager. It's free in the Google Play Store. I'd be sad if Apple had a Play Store. But anyway, if you're from my course or not from my course, I hope that this answers any questions that you had and addresses any doubts. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.